and there is no better way to start that than with the courageous thing he is doing right now. Alex Boone, ladies and gentlemen, right here on Willard and Dibs. Alex, thank you for coming on, and I really mean it. Could you describe your surroundings right now?
Dude, I got 3 kids under the age of 8. One's in full hockey gear. The other 2 are totally sugared up right now. It's insane, guys. It's about to get crazy.
You are driving home from 8-year-old girls' hockey practice. Is that right?
Hey, I'll tell you what, if you thought the boys were vicious, you should see the girls out there. The elbows they throw at each other, the dads are looking at each other like, say something. I dare you to say something first. Like, dude, it's incredible. It's so addicting.
So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I'm sure. Has your daughter received her 5-minute major yet this week?
You know what? She hasn't. She is still trying to grow her into her dad, but I'll tell you what, she gets the puck. She does some fun things with it.
Oh, my goodness. So we will keep it very, very clean in this conversation, which we would have anyway. But anyway, Alex, thank you so much for coming on, and want your perspective on all things 49ers. And I wonder, maybe you could help us translate what it's like to go through camp and get to this point. Brandon Ayuk had some comments yesterday that raised eyebrows because I think people didn't really understand where it was coming from when he was talking about how boring these combo practices with the Vikings have been. What do you think he meant by that?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know, because I was there and it looked fun. It looked like they were getting after it, and truthfully, I think some of these guys they get bored with camp, and you're kind of like, all right, dude, we can break now. We're good to go. I've done a couple of these here. I know what's going on. But it's a lot of the camp is for the younger guys, and at the same time, I feel like these guys are getting away with being a little softer, too. I mean, come on, guys. There was a time when training camp was like 6 weeks long, and now it's like 2. And they're still like on board, like, dude, the season will be here soon. Don't worry. Everybody sees you guys. They're coming. They will be ready for you.
How does a player dial it back in these joint practices? You're a guy who played to the echo of the whistle, always physical, always getting after it. How do you go about trying to dial it down when you have this gentleman's handshake agreement in a joint practice situation?
It's extremely hard, especially because you got to think about maybe on the defensive side of the field, they're getting chippy, and it's kind of pushing over onto your side of the field. And you're kind of like, I see you over there getting chippy. Should we kind of match their energy? The vibe needs to kind of get picked up a little bit. But I think it kind of depends on the situation. There are times where people tackle your players, punch your players. We all saw Christian McCaffrey get hit late. I mean, I'm taking my helmet off at that point. They let Myles Garrett come back. They'll let you come back, too. I mean, this is one of those things where you have to be smart, but at the same time, you can't let another team punk you guys or hit your quarterback or hit your skill players late. I mean, you have to respect everybody's team, and if you don't, a fight will break out.
Alex Boone with us on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Okay, training camp stats, Alex, specifically for a guy like Trey Lance. How much, if at all, do they matter?
Oh, I think there are times where you have to look at some things, and stats, I've always kind of thought they were for losers, but I think more just watching him in the pocket and the way that he moves and the way that he can get out of trouble, it just adds this extra element, because when you look downfield and you do see Ayuk or you see Deebo Samuel or you see freaking Kittle running through the middle of the field, you're like, look at all that extra time he just bought his offensive line. Not that they need it because they got Trent Williams up front, and let me tell you something, I watched him pancake za'darius Smith live. I swear to God, it was like watching a dream. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. He barely moved. I mean, when you have that in front of you and you have the ability to escape and get away and create time for receivers downfield, I mean, who can keep up with Deebo Samuel for more than 5 seconds? Who can follow George Kittle around for more than 7 seconds? This is when this offense is going to become even more dynamic, because you're going to have to start worrying about just keeping contained as opposed to letting these big plays happen.
Trent Williams, the highest rated player last year, Pro Football Focus, but the guy to his right and the guy to his right, the interior offensive line, might be a concern. What do you make of the interior 3 and how important they'll be to just what you were talking about with the offense?
I got to be honest, I think Laken Tomlinson was one of the most underrated guards in the NFL last year. I think that playing next to Trent Williams made him such a better player. Having Alex Mack on the other side, one of the best centers to ever play in this league, one of the smartest. I mean, you talk about a guy that just has ascended as a player, and now he's gone, and you look at a guy like Aaron Banks and say, dude, those are shoes to fill. And not only that, because we like to run the ball. We like to smash mouth people. You're going to have to get after them, but at the same time, we're going to have to be creative and throw the ball. So I think that when you're looking at this, I think that is the question mark. How does the interior handle this year, especially because of the way that this offense is run.
Yeah, Alex, I wonder, especially because it was your position, your thoughts on this. The offensive line is the heartbeat of every football team, but the last thing that we pay attention to, and I look at this roster, sure, we're excited about Trey Lance. There's some unknown there. But outside of that, a Shanahan run game, Kittle to the tight end, Debo and Ayuk, go to the defense, that pass rush, those linebackers, they address the secondary. It feels like we've got a check mark in every spot when we watch this team. But what about the offensive line? What is your concern level that this will potentially unravel everything?
Well, I think right now it's very low. Number one, because Trent Williams sets the bar for that team. And I know Trent, I got to talk to him after practice. It was such an amazing honor to finally get to talk to him and chat it up with him. But listening to him talk, he's like, dude, you know the standard. We set the standard here, and that's how it has to be. When you have a guy like Trent Williams standing over you like, this is the bar. If you don't hit it, I'll find the next guy that will. You find a way to hit that bar. And then you talk about a Kyle Shanahan offense. I was also privileged to meet his dad, Mike, and getting to talk to him for a while and about how this offense works and about how amazing it is because so much eye candy everywhere, but at the same time there is firepower behind it. It just makes it so fun, but it's also a little bit easier on the O-line.
Is it easier on the O-line in part because of the fullback Kyle Juszczyk? Last year, they ran 21 personnel with the two running backs 34% of the time, most in the NFL. Does that help offset the inexperience of the interior offensive line in the run game?
Absolutely, because the more big boys we bring in, the more big boys they have to bring in, which starts to offset things. Because if we do have to throw the ball and they have big boys in there, they're probably not good pass rushers. They're probably going to try and get physical with us, and that's the game that we like to play. We like to punch people in the mouth. We are the bully of the bullies, and that's what's so fun about this. And it's not that much of a high concern because you are saying, hey, as long as the run game goes and the play-action game goes off of it, there's not a lot of concern because this defense is one of the best in the league.
Alex, it's hard to put Super Bowl or bust on a first-year starting quarterback, but with all the calls and texts and tweets that we take, the number one opinion we hear, and I share this opinion, is that at minimum, in this NFC, we should be able to expect the 49ers to go to the playoffs this year. Is that even too much to put on Trey's shoulders?
No, not at all. You talk about the team that he just inherited, and you talk about the ability that he has to extend these plays like we just talked about. This team should absolutely be in the playoffs this year. The way that they finished last year, they should have a hunger in their belly. They should be ready to go, fired up. And to watch them practice, you could tell day two that defensive line was getting after the Vikings O-line. It was fun to watch.
Nick Bosa is the guy who everyone watches on that defensive line. From an offensive lineman standpoint, you being a great lineman for all those years, how do you go about trying to stop a Nick Bosa?
Oh, you got to change your setup against them. Everything you do has to be different every single time. But no matter what you do, you have to consistently be physical against him. You can't ever let him think that he's winning. You have to have your hands on him at all times. You got to be physical, throw your head into him, throw your shoulders into him. If you see him running downfield, you got to hit him. He's one of these guys that if you don't bully him a little bit, he's going to get after you. So you got to meet that intensity. He reminds me so much of Aaron Donald, a T.J. Watt, guys like that. If you don't come after them with the same intensity that they're coming after you, it's a wrap. There is no chance unless you are Trent Williams to stop them.
Alex, speaking of meeting the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Man, your girls back there did a great job. We didn't hear a peep.
I appreciate it, guys. They're just sitting here enjoying all this football talk.
I bet.
And Alex, don't lose any more weight, because last time I saw you, I kind of gave you a couple of handfuls, and I'm afraid you're down to about $180, and all of a sudden you might not see me coming next time now.
Listen, I'm running Ironman, Wisconsin on 9/11 because it's on 9/11, and I'm actually down to 240 pounds right now. But because I opened this O-line gym up here, I'm going back up to 315 right after. So as soon as I come out there, you got trouble.
Oh, my God. By the way, Alex, do you know Nick Hardwick? Do you know him?
You know, I don't know him personally, but I'm one of his biggest fans.
Yeah.
I just love watching him.
Yeah, like you guys, like you're the two offensive linemen and they're running around looking like linebackers now.
Hey, you know who else is up here? Matt Burke, and he's running for lieutenant governor, but I'm not voting for him because he fined me one year for starting a fight, so I'm not doing it.
That's amazing.
So great. Good luck in the Ironman. I can't wait to talk to you again, Alex.
Appreciate it, guys.